Hey boys and girls, it's KnightStalker here. Welcome along today to my guide on the brand new Alchemist. Check it out. Now I know that a lot of people out there are struggling with this unit, and that may be because of your class primarily, but today we're going to have a look at just exactly how I'm using this unit, and I'll show you what I'm doing, and I'll show you my build for this unit, and you can see if that's going to work for you too. But this is my guide. So without further ado, let's go and have a look at the different abilities of this wonderful unit. Right, here we go with the unit. And this is perfect actually. We've got the archers. So I can show you exactly how these guys fight in close combat. Pro tip, it's not very good. So here we go. We'll just hit the V key. You can't use the V to move key. It simply doesn't work. And you'll see that even though they do a reasonable amount of damage with the staves, I don't know where they're going. They don't stand up. Their armor is terrible. They don't have the DPS. Most of all, they just fall down and die. Can somebody shoot me, please, so I can take a bit of damage? That'd be nice. Look, shoot me in the back. Look, shoot me. Shoot me. Shoot me. Shoot me. Alright, so there we go. That is what they look like on the easiest possible thing to attack in pretty much the entire game, which is a peasant archer in the training room. So given that they lost half the unit just about, you can see that they're not very good. Okay, so here we are having taken our combat damage from the archers. The first ability I want to talk to you about is, well, let's talk about all of their abilities together. This one here, I've put a doctrine on them. It's the sprint doctrine, or the mobility doctrine, and it simply increases their movement speed. And this is excellent for pulling them across the battlefield, in and out of trouble, and you know, when your front line gets broken through, it certainly helps them live. So I find this one to be quite useful. The other thing is, we'll talk about the doctrines later, is that there are not many doctrines available to them. This one here, the first aid, it's also a doctrine that you get while you are working out the, unlocking the unit. It's on that line there. There are two of them. This is the one we're talking about now. Now, in my opinion, and the way I play this unit, this is the primary ability of the unit. What it does is it means that if the fight is going on, say, up here, hack, 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 you'll move your unit to here and you'll trigger this ability, and you're going to heal everything going on up here while staying safe. This number one ability, healing here, it requires the alchemist to physically walk over to their target and heal it. So that puts them in danger a lot of the time. So this ability is primarily for healing mass amounts of units and heroes outside of combat. So say you're defending, the enemy attacks, you defeat their push, and everybody sort of comes back into the defensive formation. That's when you use this and start causing massive amounts of healing to your team. This one here is the battle one, because it keeps them out of combat while they do their healing. This one here is a smoke bomb, and that's pretty fun. When we throw the smoke bomb, it means that anything under it is both slowed down. It's about 5 or 6 seconds total. It's not long. I don't find this ability super useful. It's kind of like the backup ability of this unit. It stops cavalry charging. Well, it doesn't stop them, but it slows them down. You throw the smoke bombs out, the cavalry comes through, it's slowed down, it does less damage. Its primary use is to stop enemy ranged units attacking your units, and it has a massive debuff to the accuracy of the units. It's not impossible to hit, but it's like a 90% say debuff. It's huge, but again, it only lasts 5 seconds, so I don't find it that useful except in a defensive scenario. This is like the ninja smoke bomb, where you throw a smoke bomb at your feet and then you disappear. So it's an escape, but it also has other uses in combat circumstantially. Let's have a look at actually how these abilities work, shall we? So we hit the 3 ability. This will heal, and it's a much greater radius than that little green circle that you saw. This is the number 1 ability. Note that when they do this, they will heal heroes as well as their own unit members. And as you can see, it's very, very fast healing. Number 2, smoke bomb. This ability has a tendency to clip, so it's very likely to hit here, say, or here, and it's not super accurate. There we go. For about 5 or 6 seconds, you've got that smoke thing going on. So again, I use this to tend to retreat or to help our team advance. And you've got to be using this ability to get the most out of the unit, but it's certainly not their best ability. This ability here, in my opinion, and the way that I play this unit, is the best ability. Oh yeah, and if you want to know what the other doctrine does, it just makes them move faster, right? 15% movement increase. Meow. They're already pretty fast. By the way, down here, this is the ammunition. You've got 4 smoke bomb ammunitions before you have to recharge. These are standing on the supply point there will instantly recharge it, of course. Think about it like javelin throws or ammunition for your archers. You've got 4 smoke bombs before you need to resupply. It's okay. Hey, let's move on now to talk about more about this absolutely brilliant, lovely unit. Alrighty. So here we go. We've got the Alchemists. The first thing I want to talk about with Alchemists is that you can't equip any of the attires that I've found so far to it. I'm at level about 50 for the progress along the battle pass, so maybe one of the later ones unlocks it, but certainly the seasonal one you get at 50 is not able to be placed on them. You can give them a banner. That's one thing you can do, give them a nice banner. And I've given them the nice sunrise. It seems to fit the aesthetic of the lovely Alchemist. Anyway, let's stop yapping. The doctrines I've given my guys here are Epic Mobility Doctrine, makes them faster, keeps them alive. Alchemist Cure, that may be called something different on your server, but here it's that number 3 ability that we've just been talking about in the training room. Extra Life Doctrine, Harden, because it reduces damage taken by 100. And do you notice how we've even got extra damage to ranged units by 100? Take that into consideration when you think about how much damage they were doing and how cut up they got in that previous training room thing. And also their piercing defense increased by 80. Now, a lot of these are not options per se, because if you have a look here, there's actually not a lot of doctrines that this unit can have. You don't want to put extra damage on them in any way. That's, I guess, if you're territory warring, you definitely don't want to put extra damage on it. No extra damage. This is one of the other doctrines that you get when you complete the quest line for Alchemists, not the unlock line, but it increases the movement speed by 10% for 8 seconds. I don't know, man. I've got this. Much better. No extra damage needed. You can give them extra defense, but I've chosen piercing because they tend to get hit by muskets and arrows more than anything else. You don't want any of the damage, so really, what do you put on there? Should we put a Siege Fighter Doctrine on? No. So really, all of the options are health, a defense, the natural one for the unit, the speed, and then you've still got this other spot. So I thought, why not take this one? Your options are extremely limited. That's why it's come out like that. I noticed Evo does his this way as well. Pretty much the exact same set out. Veterancy lines. So, the first thing about veterancy lines is this top one is total garbage. The only thing that you might find if you want to play around with your own build is up here. When they enter combat, they get 50% damage reduction. That's huge. That's a massive amount of damage reduction. Is it going to save them? Absolutely not, because their armors and stuff are terrible. That's boosted, don't forget. And this is a max level unit. So where do you go? You've got the option of the smoke line on the bottom. Increases the range of it, the coverage of it, and the cooldown of it, of the blinding smoke. It's also not affected by rain and snow, which is important. At the start of the match, check the top right of the screen while you're loading in. And no, we do not want to talk to that person. Check the top right in the corner of the battle when you're loading in, and it will tell you exactly what the weather conditions are. Don't use them in snow or rain. So, this is the line I use here. So you've got 2 options at the end. Defense, 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 health, speed. These are important things for this unit. You've got the option here of increasing the head count by 2. And you've got the option here of healing hands cooldown by 10 seconds. Now let me explain how both of these work, because both of these are reasonably viable, and I'll explain why I chose mine. So, the way that the doctrine works, that number 3 ability that we talked about, if you by mistake hit the number 1 key and put them into that mode, and then you transfer them over to the number 3 ability from the doctrine, you've then got to wait for the healing hands cooldown. This eliminates that, so you can change between the 1 and 3 quite freely. They also have 15% extra health during the time. That's pretty useful. But the one I've gone for is this one here, because if you've even got 1 model left in the unit, so 1 individual soldier left in the unit, you're able to do that number 3 ability at full effect. And that's quite important. Now, when you're finished doing number 3 ability and the fighting's more or less over and you're continuing your team's push, the more people in here you've got, the more they can tick over those 8, 9, 1000 healing ticks. And this is a 1/4 increase in the size of the unit. It's massive. Is it 1/4? No, it's 1/3. It's even better. So that's 1/3 extra healing. For me, this one here is the absolutely best one you can take for the style of play that I'm using, the ones that you can emulate. So, how's it? The hit points 6,000, and their damage is just rubbish. This unit cannot put out damage. Absolutely not. I've even tried it in the top line here. Can it do any better? Absolutely not. It's terrible in combat. Any time in combat at all is the death of them. So, let's move on to our next section now. Okay, so here we are. We've pulled the Alchemist from the supply point, and we're going to follow our team up to the capture the B point. So what's our role here as an Alchemist? First of all, it's to not die to cavalry. Second of all, it is to follow the team. We have absolutely no ability to push. We have absolutely no ability to influence how the team is moving. This is important for Alchemists. You must go where your team dictates. You cannot be a lone wolf or a maverick. However, when you find units in these sort of safe zones here, you can happily heal them. Because it's a nice safe zone, I'm happy to use the number 1 ability. And that will allow us to patch everybody up quick, smart, and in a hurry. So we see all this cavalry here, and we think, oh, are those cavalry going to charge our archers here? We throw those in, just to be sure. And what you've got now is you've got a smoke screen that slows enemy units. And the enemy units, being the cavalry, will do less damage and may get shot more as they come on in. Now, there's not a huge threat here, so we're happy to go in and use the number 1 ability. As soon as we start taking some damage, we're going to bang on the 3 and sort of stay out of it a little bit. It's important to keep your Alchemists up with the team. You can't heal anybody being way down the back. And people are not going to stop fighting to come back and heal like you're a supply point. You're not a supply point. You're there to assist in the push and the heal. We're going to use the 1 key here, the ability to dodge where we thought the cavalry was going to charge us. So that's one of the reasons why you might take that top node of the middle veterancy line, because you can move the unit around rapidly using that ability while still being able to heal. So, the problem we've got here is there's a whole bunch of Namcans up on the wall there, and they're shooting into our supply point. Now this would cause absolute chaos usually. There would be a lot of dead units here, but also there would be, obviously I've decided not to tread here, there would also be a lot of people locked on the supply point because they can't leave. They keep getting damaged by these Namcans, and if they do leave, they take their damage with them. So what we're going to do here is we're going to support the team to do extra healing. While somebody else goes around, you can see them on the map there, goes around up the wall and starts murdering them in the face, which is great because the face is an excellent place to murder somebody. So now we're down to the original unit size. Why do I say that? Because we have 2 extra units on our veterancy line, 2 extra models on our veterancy line. And as you can see, it very quickly brings our unit back up to fighting fit. They made the right choices. Somebody brought out shields, somebody brought out archers, and that was the perfect way to counter those archers on the wall, as well as our flanking manoeuvre from our team who went through the tunnel up around the wall and well, murdered them in the face. That wasn't my smoke. I don't know who did that. That must have been the enemy who were taking fire, perhaps. So now, how do we support the push with this particular unit now? We see a whole bunch of cavalry. Cavalry are always death to infantry. Cavalry are a major balance issue in the game. However, to a light unit like this, it's pretty damn fatal. So we're going to put them in the corner here and wait for our troops to mass up. We do know that this unit took a lot of damage from those arrows and probably didn't wait long enough. Yes, we go. So with our 3 ability there, we're going to mass heal. See how many people are getting healed at once, and look at the radius on it. It's absolutely massive. Now when you stack the number 3 ability with the number 1 ability with the longsword heal, you have a frightening amount of healing. Look how we sustain even the archers and the light infantry and the pikes here. There's a lot of light infantry. So we're not taking any arrow fire, we're not in any danger, so we're going to set up in the middle here, and that will allow our people to push forward if they choose to. Artillery bad. Now we could pull them out and be super safe, but like any unit, you cannot make an omelette without breaking eggs. You're never, if you're not pushing and losing troops, you're not helping the team. You've got to lose troops. The idea of the smoke bomb here was to slow down the enemy. Any charges or cavalry coming around the corner would be slowed. We're trying to tuck them off to the left now to try and keep them out of the way of this incoming arrow fire, while still being in line of sight, because you do need line of sight for this healing ability. We're starting to lurk more in the back now because we can see that the push is not going quite to plan. We have too many archers in this push, unfortunately. And those archers are not going to last long, even with the massive amount of healing I'm putting out on them. So we're going to pull back, heal ourselves up, heal up our heroes. That's the other thing about this unit, it heals heroes very, very quickly. They heal each other too, as you can see. They don't tend to prioritise themselves over anything else. It seems to be almost at random that they grab people and heal. But your teammates are going to be very happy, especially if they're doing something like sitting on artillery. When you're sitting on artillery, you can't really defend yourself other than to jump off the artillery. So, just like the short sword here, one of the alchemists is going to run over and just give him a little quick stitch up. Do you see how the radius reaches all the way inside here? Once they get the ability done on them? Not the radius, the range. Like they can move out of range once they start getting tick healed. And this little manoeuvre here was just to try and pick off some stragglers, free kills. Get out before we get shot in the face. So, now we're waiting for our team to stack up again. Everyone in our team, or well, some of our people in our team seem to be aware now that the alchemists are in the corner there, and if they want healing, they can just go and stand beside it. If you are a hero that's taken a lot of damage and you see this nice big green circle, it would do you well to go and stand there, because you won't have to use up your bandage. You can get healed for free and then use your bandage. Or if you've already used it, of course, you can get an extra free round of healing by going and standing by the alchemists. Now, you can't play safe forever. You're going to have to get involved at some point, alchemists or not. Here's another bomb to stop any charging cavalry coming through. Slow any infantry and heroes who are coming in. You see how we're constantly monitoring where and how we're healing. We're constantly moving them around. We're coupling it with our longsword heals as well. This little manoeuvre here, I know I'm not going to kill this pike, but I know from now on he's going to, well, I did knock him down. But he's going to have to go back and heal now. You don't have to kill heroes to take them out of the battle. Oh, look at this guy. He came straight back in. And because of our little manoeuvre there, he's going to die. And look how much damage we're actually healing. Chuck another smoke bomb there, stopping cavalry charging through, but we can see this maul coming in the back. That means there's cavalry following him almost certainly. Not this time. Don't know quite what he was doing there then. So, here's that cavalry we were worried about. Here's a tip. This might look like we've won, but we haven't. This push was not particularly strong. The only thing sustaining it was the heroes and the massive amount of healing they were getting. It's very difficult when nobody's dealing with the Nancans, who do so much damage over time if they're left to their own devices. And eventually we're going to lose all the alchemists. But if you consider that we did thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of healing, this was a very good play with the alchemists, if I do say so myself. Let's go on to a defending clip. So here we are, we've just respawned at the supply point and brought our alchemists down, not at the supply point, at the respawn point. We brought our alchemists down, and we're going to set them up just a little off the action, shall we say. Any heroes and things that want to have a nice heal, all they're going to do is come back in that nice bubble. We're going to couple this with our longsword heal to put out maximum healing. I think the type of class that you're playing is really important to whether or not you're going to do well with alchemists. As a longsword, these guys are absolutely perfect. Look, we can just do massive amounts of healing ticks all over the place, and if I get bored, I can just sort of run in and do my own healing, right? So, we're going to keep them a little bit back off the line, and primarily we're going to use that number 3 ability for the most of the healing. You'll notice that number 3 ability does 50% more healing than my longsword does. See that? Beautiful. And every time we use the 1 key, it's either going to be to regenerate the team after we've defeated a push, or it's going to be in the back line where things like Javcav and those sort of units lurk, Hackbateers, Tercios, All those nice tough units in the back line that get chipped away over time. So there's very little we can do here. We just offset the guys and hopefully nobody targets them. While our flaming deathball guys just wipe out that unit entirely, which was absolutely wonderful, by the way. There you go. We're going to stick them in this terrain. It makes it harder to get at them if you're inside some crazy terrain. When I triggered my 3 ability then, I should have been closer to the front line here, so that when they're caught in the radius they can then pull back, and those guys get healed for 20 seconds. Yep, and you see how we're not pushing into the front line with the Alchemist? We're not using that one key to try and heal these guys on the front line. That's never going to work. It's going to end up with dead Alchemists. We can, in the meantime, kill a hero and heal with our longsword itself. So when we do use the one ability, we put it at the back here, because Javcav and things tend to get whittled down by muskets, short bows, long bows, and we can prevent that happening over time. By the way, hello Fleur Delacour and Surprise MF, who were great teammates for this particular match. See how much tick healing we're actually managing to do here as well. So the question is, why would you take Alchemists over another unit that can do more damage? Well, the concept here is we don't want our team to leave and go to the supply point and back. It takes too long. If we can resupply and sustain and heal the heroes and keep everything healed up, we're going to have more firepower continuously directed towards this gate, where for some reason they are continuing to feed us units. They will try some flanks. You can see the guy on the map there. It's just not part of their strategy at the moment. Thousands and thousands and thousands of lovely healing. As you know, you can see the heroes here who are sitting on the artillery. They're going to get healed up by the Alchemist too, as are the what are those? Landsharks and the Janissaries, who are defending in the main gateway there, who are taking constant but low damage fire. We can prevent them from dying and continue to support them, so they don't ever have to move. So you've got this constant rain of death flowing down that corridor. And that's all thanks to the Alchemists. I'm not being particularly careful with when I trigger my 3 ability at the moment. You could do better than me, I'm sure. You've got to bring them up, do the 3 and then put them back in the back line. So the cycle is you use the 3, then you use the 1 to bring them back out. Do you see over here, we're going to try and smoke these guys here, basically to stop them charging in and slow them down a bit. You know? If they've got any ranged units over there as well, they will be crippled by that. Any ranged units firing from within that smoke cloud are going to be absolutely useless. So we're going to do our best to help the team stop this flanking manoeuvre. It looks like we're causing, well, the team is causing chaos in this little flank push. There's too many of them over there, too concentrated again. They should have had some coming down the left side, some coming down the right, and some in the middle as well. So yeah, how after I trigger my 3 ability, I go and put them back in the back line. One thing you can do is trigger that 3 ability as a friendly unit starts to charge, and they will carry that heal with them into combat away from the Alchemists. You know, it's a massive radius of ability. Not the initial trigger, but certainly the way that they move out later. Very much like the longsword heal, but better. It is better, don't get me wrong. When you're putting out 3 heals every 20 odd seconds, you can heal and sustain a very good and large amount of units, particularly when they're all bunched up. You've got to be very careful about when you use the Alchemists. You can't, they're not as good if there are no choke points, for example. So it's quite map specific in some cases. Do you see how quickly we healed up the pike there? 1000 heal per tick. Just as good or better than a bandage. You see how we came forward, did the 3 ability, healed that unit, and then went back to safety? You've got to play safety with this unit, but you must stay up with your team. You know, you can't lurk in the back line and just be the ultra conservative. It's not how this unit works. You've got to be able to do your abilities or you're not going to make an impact on the team. See some cavalry? Throw some smoke bombs? No? So now we're just going to, again, keep up with the team. There's only 30 seconds left on the clock. We might as well push forward. We'll do this to stop cavalry and guns and things shooting at our team as we push out and get some final kills in the game. We'll also slow down the heroes, so it makes it much harder for them to escape, and they tend to die in the middle of combat. Look at these thousands and thousands of healing per tick. It's just ridiculous. These are perfect circumstances for Alchemists. Again, don't be aggressive, but do be forward. And there we have it, boys and girls. There is my guide and a few battle clips of this lovely unit, the Alchemists. I'm having a great time with this unit, but I think that is primarily because of my class as a longsword. I'm focused on healing already. I don't see why this unit couldn't work for other classes, but especially something like maybe a bow, where you're shoot, 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 do your alchemist, shoot, shoot, shoot. I don't know if it's going to work particularly well if you're trying to get in there as a short sword or say a maul. They're not particularly compatible, so keep that in mind as you're playing. Anyway, boys and girls, thank you so much for coming to my channel. I hope you learned something new, or you just enjoyed the video. Ka kite.